Ethics. Ethics, folks. Ethics. Does anybody know what ethics are? Well, how about this? Why don't you just try this on for size? Judicial ethics consists of the standards and norms that bear on judges and covers such matters as how to maintain independence, impartiality, and avoid impropriety. Disciplinary actions for infractions of the rules of conduct by state judges are typically controlled by a state judicial commissioner. And by the way, what about these dang officers of the court? Huh? Do they not have a standard that they've got to do and abide by? Huh? Well, let's just take a look at it. And by the way, I love you, Rays. I got to keep my head warm. You like my little knit? I like it too. It's keeping my head warm. I'm getting back. I'm getting back for the attack. But let me just say this. This Becky Hill, y'all, somebody needs to do that to the woman. Because let me just stop real briefly and say this. What about the victim's family members? What about when a convicted murderer of his wife and son is teetering? He's teetering about almost getting a new trial. Huh? And y'all, this is important. I'm not just bringing up this case because of the news today, and we all know what the news was. We had a full day of money out the ass at the freaking damn appellate level up there. You got a judge over there that had to decide some things. I wonder how much these employees, the judge, and all them made in South Carolina today. It was a freaking waste. And all because this Becky Hill wants to go out here and make $100,000 on a book that she can take it and shove it up her ass. The bottom line is they caught her ass plagiarizing. She didn't even have enough respect. She didn't have enough respect to even come up with her own stuff. She plagiarized and then she lied, and she had to admit that in court today. And the bottom line is this, y'all. We've been on this case of Chad and Lori Daybell for several years now. And y'all know good and damn well. You know it. You know who I'm talking about. Who wanted to file a bunch of stuff in Lori's trial and wants to come out with a book. Don't get me wrong. I think anybody and everyone, if they want to go out here and write a book or produce a movie or whatever, that's their own damn business. I do believe in capitalism, but at what cost? What cost are we talking about here? Judicial scrutiny, right? Well, let's look at the whole trial of Alex Murdaugh that lasted for 6 weeks, and y'all know good and damn well how much the Hussey's trial lasted. How would all of us feel? How would we feel if somehow she got to go there and get a new trial? How would any of us feel? It's not right. Nicole says she was so smug too. She was. And y'all, these county clerks, they've got really, really hard jobs to do. As you recall, some of you Rays that have taken it in here on this channel, remember OKJ talking about how certain people were dogging out the county clerks in Chad and Lori's case and how she should spend one day doing their job. I get it. But when we're talking about a county clerk who is an officer of the court, and for her to say, well, it was 6 months after the trial, y'all. She was talking about this before the trial even started. They see this greed, this green ass shit, and they don't even think about the victim's family members. And I understand in Alex Murdaugh's case, his family and all of that, the extended family, they're still backing his ass. But I'm talking about Maggie and poor Paul. And this woman, all she thinks about is making money. Case in point. You ready? Because I always come ready. I looked. They took that book off the Amazon, right? Because she plagiarized. But the reviews are still up. And if you want some good reading material, go and read the reviews. Of course, there's some dumbasses on there that wanted to take her for what she said. But there were lies in there, y'all. Lots of it. Not to mention the plagiarizing. But here are some of the reviews. I want to read them to you. Then you'll understand why I'm saying all this. I truly believe Behind the Doors of Justice, which was Becky Hill's book that made her $100,000, would have behind-the-scenes information about the trial that only a court employee could provide. After reading it, I'm wondering if Miss Becky thinks she's responsible for turning the wheels of justice. The content of this poorly written book is largely all about her. I was surprised that she was so happy to get a smile of approval from Alex when she used Southern charm while conversing with prospective jurors, which she says she learned from watching Alex and his father interact with juries. Think about that, y'all. This woman is saying, the prospective jurors, and I learned it all from this dang murdering man who murdered his wife and son and his family there. That tells you all you need to know. She brags about being just a phone call away from Nancy Grace and meeting with other celebrities. Y'all, is it just so alluring to these people? Do they want to be the famous people? Do they want to make so much money that they don't care about the injustice of all these dang murders and all these people that get murdered all the time? All they think about is gimme, 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 gimme. They want to make money. And I'm looking at you right now, the only ones I want to hear from in any damn book is Cresha or Kay or Larry or any of the victims' family members of any of these brutal murders. They're the only ones I want to hear from. It's clear by the tone in this book that Becky Hill thought Alex Murdaugh was guilty before the trial concluded. There's a lot of information about irrelevant topics like the author's family, her history and career. Not why I bought the book. If rumors are true, her and her son are not the law-abiding citizens she claims to be. It is likely there will be another trial because of her nonsense, and we know there's not going to be another trial. The Supreme Court justice there, basically, y'all, Alex Murdaugh deserved another trial. I hate to say it, but that's my opinion. And the Supreme Court justice there in South Carolina had their reasons, and maybe y'all disagree with OKJ, and that's okay. But the bottom line is Alex Murdaugh deserved another trial. And I'm so glad that the Supreme Court justice didn't allow that. And, now he gets to go, but do what? He gets to go back to his suspended appeals. He gets to have his appeals. Wonder if any of that's going to be brought up, huh? Wonder if anything in his appeals will have anything to do with Becky there. It is likely there will be another trial because of her nonsense. Verdict will likely be the same, but Murdaugh has a right to a fair trial the first time. Something this clerk of court interfered with. She's a hypocrite out to make a fast buck off the backs of tragedy. Becky shouldn't have written this book since she is an elected official, says another person. There are so many sections of her book where she outlines how unprofessional she is. How is she extremely opinionated on the Murdaughs? How her biggest worry was that the jury wouldn't vote guilty, etc. She got so many basic facts completely wrong. Another review was, I was shocked to read that she was out, y'all. She was out drinking and partying with members of the media during the trial. She discussed the case outside the courtroom repeatedly, per her own admission in her book. Y'all, what she thought, this is just an opinion. She thought, oh, I'm fixing to hit the jackpot. I got the gold goose egg there. I'm going to climb up Jack and the Beanstalk there. I'm going to take the goose and all that. She's thinking about Nancy Grace, and maybe she even thought she'd go and go on a tour of her book tour. How about this for something, y'all? How about Chad Daybell and his stupid ass books? Huh? People are still buying that shit online. Becky's just a small town person who has never even been on an airplane before, says another person, and decided to exploit her position and insert herself where she didn't belong so that she could write this book, go on trips, be the hostess with the mostest. And those were her exact words about herself in her book, and try to profit. And finally, y'all, it's revoltingly unprofessional. A true disgrace. I do not recommend anyone waste their time on this garbage. I've got a feeling she will be prosecuted very soon anyway, so you can watch her in her own trial where all the facts will come out. And y'all, she's not going to get prosecuted. And guess what? There in South Carolina, she'll keep her damn clerk job as well. I'll tell you what, this woman should have her clerk job out the door. That's what I'm talking about. Can Alex try again for a new trial, says the Journey to Justice? Not on these grounds. That he can put it in an appeal. But the bottom line is once a Supreme Court Justice of South Carolina says, no, nothing really, the Supreme Court, go and listen to it. It's online, it's on YouTube, where the Supreme Court Justice actually says that Becky Hill was just thinking about stars, was thinking about making money. This judge said what she was doing. The appeal, y'all, when all this came out, I put it on the back burner because it's really, it's just, I try to apply what we're studying and analyzing and researching. I try to do that, okay? Because y'all know I'm not one to go into these other cases. But the bottom line is that, this could have very well happened in Lori's trial, and I thank God it didn't. And she's got her appeals going right now. But I don't see that. And even then, when I saw it and I put it on the back burner, I thought to myself, even if he got a new trial, he's already pleaded out on all the financial crimes, at least 27 years of it. So he's not getting out of jail. But it's just the principle of it, that a jury actually convicted him of killing his wife and son, which I believe he did do it. And he thought he could get away with it, and he didn't get away with it. But appeal-wise, I think that door is shut, because this whole issue, this specific issue of Becky Hill, has been looked at and ruled on by a Supreme Court justice. Okay, so their appeals will have to be other stuff. And right now, the biggest appeal issue for the Alex Murdaugh trial is that the state there in South Carolina brought in all the financial crimes. Remember, that took extra weeks, and it just, they basically beat a dead horse, but it was brilliant, really. And they're saying those financial crimes should have not came into the trial. It's a lot like this, y'all. What about Lori's appeal, where she is going to appeal? Those crimes in Arizona should have never came in. That's going to be one of her appeals issues. It's already been listed. So you see the parallels. You see it. If he had gotten a new trial, that probably would have kicked him over to federal prison, wouldn't it? You know, I don't know how all that works, T.S. Jackson 72. I really don't. I know he wouldn't have gotten out pending a new trial because he'd already pleaded guilty to all those financial crimes. But the bottom line is it was right on the edge, y'all. And the reason I titled this live stream, and I thank y'all all, it's spur of the moment. Y'all know how I am. When I get something to light a little fire under my ass, I'm going to get on there. Ethics 101. When's it going to stop? When's it going to stop? I'll tell you when it's going to stop. Y'all, unfortunately, this is the truth of the matter. The truth of the matter is when it comes to the crime community genre, people like the red meat. People want to buy the books. People want to watch the 48 hours, the oxygens. It can't stop as long as there's a consumer out there. And this goes back to me trying my best, which is really hard to do, to put myself in the shoes of these crime victims, these victims' family members. When they see stuff come, like, oh, there's a new special coming on, or there's a new book out, or whatever, it's got to hurt them deeply. It's got to be like, oh, yeah, they're going to go ahead and they're going to. And I understand that crime victims, family members, they do want a light shed on everything, but they want it to be done with a motive of neutrality, of some kind of goodness to come out of it. They don't want it to be about these people out here don't give a shit. They don't give a shit about the victims' family members. All they care about is making money. Susan Honecker says, I believe Boyce was careful with the hussy so the appeal won't work. Well, Susan, I agree with that. I think Judge Boyce did an excellent job on it. And I've been keeping an eye on the appeals of all that. And, also for those that are interested in your research and that you want to add to your research, they've come out now with the transcripts in Lori's case, post-conviction. There are several transcripts where it shows them talking about what they're going to go in and talk about in a sealed hearing. It's very, I don't know, it's kind of enlightening, but it almost is like, I wish that we could have known what they were saying behind the scenes. But this goes again to what? Simplistically speaking, the fairness of a trial, giving the defendant a fair trial. Jules in Virginia says, I was wondering what would happen with Becky. Well, Becky still has a job. Becky was just told today by a Supreme Court justice in its decision, which did not give Alex Murdaugh his new trial, that Becky was thinking about the moolah. Becky was thinking about the stardom. Well, I'm going to tell you what, until humanity starts thinking about these victims' family members and understanding that, y'all, you know this. I don't have to dang preach it. Ethics 101, the bottom line is that we're seeing it on display left and right. This is just a real disgusting, vulgar expression of it. The bottom line is Alex Murdaugh was on the cusp of it, but it didn't happen. Judicial scrutiny, the fact that, to go and do a trial like this over again, what would it have served the Commonwealth of South Carolina? What would it have done for the taxpayers, for the public? You got people all over the country outside of South Carolina and the freaking world that would like a redo because they enjoyed seeing that damn asshole go down. But y'all, this goes back to Chad Daybell. He's going to be tried April 1st. And, if there's just one little problem in jury selection, if there's, anything like that. I mean, Chad Daybell's attorney, John Pryor, has already attacked the grand jury, and also Mark Means attacked the grand jury, along with Archie and the rest of them, on the constitutionality of the death penalty and all this and that. You would think that it's a lot like hey, you go, you jury select, you have a trial, you either convict or you don't. Then they have their appeals, and there you go, y'all. Everything hangs by a thread. And it's when people, and Becky Hill is no different than a lot of people. I haven't heard anything of any of these jurors going out here to make a buck. I haven't heard anyone yet of the jurors that served in Lori's trial going out and making a buck. But the bottom line is it could happen. There are people right now that's writing books and all of that they're gonna make some money. And people are gonna buy their books, and they better damn well know that the people's motivation behind the books that they're gonna be buying or have bought is that person wants to make money. They're not thinking about shedding a light. It's people like Kresha and her family, other victims' family members, that I believe they earnestly in their heart want to do what is a respect and honor for their loved ones. So, it is what it is. If his rights can be violated, so can ours, as offensive as he is. That's right. That's right, T.S. Jackson 72. Any of us, it's snowball's chance in hell, but any of us could be, arrested for a crime, and the next thing you know, you got someone out here. Just try to put yourself in there. How would you feel if there was some stranger out here writing a book about you or writing a book about your family? Let's just stop a minute. I had a brother who was murdered in Rowan County, Kentucky. If somebody wanted to write a book and they put a bunch of falseness and plagiarism in that book, does that honor my brother? Does that do anything to honor my brother? This is why OKJ knows it'll never happen, but I am for state and federal legislation that victims' family members should at least get a percentile, 1% of all these shows out here that make all this damn money. All these news organizations that make all kinds of money on advertising, on clicks, because they post the crime genre. That's what I believe. I think it's only right. And if it can't be given to victims' family members, for God's sake, do it. Give it to a nonprofit that is helping families get over murder or domestic abuse. That's ethical. But there's nothing ethical about what Becky Hill did. And it's sad, y'all, when a Supreme Court justice in a state such as South Carolina can sit there in their ruling and say Becky Hill was out to make a buck, and yet they still, and I'm not taking up for Alex Murdaugh, but y'all, it's so damn lopsided. Bet there wouldn't be near as many books being written, says Nicole, if people had to share a little bit of their profit there. I think people would still write books. And maybe, I understand, and maybe this is not how you're taking it, Nicole, but I don't want it to be where nobody writes about these crimes. It's not that at all. And I don't think that the victims' family members should be the only ones to report or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the motivation behind this stuff, y'all, it's not ethical. For goodness sake, murder is not ethical. Murder is the worst of the worst. and yet people are making money off of that. Maybe some good can come from people making money. Just example, someone writes a book and they make $100,000 like Becky Hill did. Maybe they'll take a little bit of that money and give it to a charity or help someone. I mean, I don't know what Becky Hill did with her $100,000, but the testimony today was she wanted to make that money so she could get her some lake property. How would I feel if I purchased lake property off a murder by writing a book? Y'all, maybe I'm too old-fashioned. Maybe, I'm not, y'all know me. I am not, I've got all kinds of problems. I'm a sinner saved by grace. There's nothing, I'm not up here on no freaking pedestal about my morality. What I am saying is, ethically speaking, this doesn't work for old KJ. And it scares the hell out of me. It scares me to think that a situation like this can happen and that a victim's family member would have to be faced with a new trial after they've been through hell, after Larry and Kay and Crescia and others had to look at those photos in a trial of their loved ones' desecrated bodies, and yet they get another trial, and the shit happens all over again, all because somebody out here wanted to be selfish. I think the family members should be able to review it before it's published. I'm sure that's impossible, but maybe they wouldn't sensationalize it so much. That's a good point, Nicole. You always have good comments. Today, what was it? Becky Hill said it was literary. It was poetic literacy. It wasn't that I was lying. I was just being poetic because I wanted it to be easy on the reader. No, she wanted to sell books. And by the way, in terms of those reviews, I reviewed every one of them. Everyone says it wrote like a freaking teenage diary or a freaking elementary school paper. But people they'll buy it. Just as, I don't know if y'all remember, but do y'all remember when, I guess it was probably 8 to 10 months ago, maybe before that, I'm not sure. But I had come to y'all, I had ordered all these books about the Lori Vallow to prove a point because I knew. I absolutely knew. And one of the books actually called JJ a dog in it. And it looked like it was maybe AI, that a lot of the information in it was wrong. But people will buy it thinking they're going to get an insight on something. And I remember Crescia was on that stream. I took those 3 books that I ordered, and I know it's like, well, KJ, you say don't spend money on it because it's a crock of shit. I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove a point that no matter what, it seems like, ethically speaking, it would be different if someone put their heart and soul into a book where it does nothing other than honor the victims. And yes, I understand maybe making a little bit of money, or at least the fact that you've got to initially have it edited or something like that. There's got to be fees paid. I understand that. But when someone goes for the jugular and wants to misrepresent murdered victims and their families and the person who's writing the book's knowledge of the case, and most importantly, putting that situation where the person who's convicted gets a new trial or possible new trial, y'all, there are no ethics anymore. There isn't any. The only ethics that KJ sees is people who have personal responsibility, who know in their heart that yes, they sometimes do stupid shit, and maybe they're not as ethical as they should be because they're not thinking along those lines. But the bottom line is that 9 times out of 10, we all know. We all know what ethics are. We all know what being moral and immoral is all about. Hey, Shema. Hi, Teresa Moore. Hi, Nicole again. Fancy Nancy. Norma Guerrera. Paul Top. Dora Opinion. Cindy Bullock. T.S. Jackson 72. Donna Donald. Missing you, girl. Y'all, I'm just so thankful. I'm so thankful that a new trial wasn't put in place. I'm sure Alex Murdaugh's family wanted that. None of them want to accept that he murdered his wife and son. But this goes again to Lori's trial, her conviction, and the fact that she's on appeal. The fact that there are people right now, I'm sure, in Arizona that would like to start writing a book about what's going to happen with Lori as far as this situation with Brandon Boudreaux and Charles Vallow that she's facing. Make no mistake, y'all. Make no mistake. No matter what, how much I bellyache, no matter how much I bitch and complain, these news organizations, these people, specifically one who wants to come out with a book, that's going to come out with a book, who had to file stuff in Lori's and Chad's case, who thinks that, that's going to be their bread and butter. At what cost? At what cost? It isn't about honoring the families for these people, y'all. It's not. It never has and it never will be. I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it at all. Norma Guerrero says it's a waste of taxpayers' money for a retrial. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, when these people don't stop to think, and she was an officer of the court, and you got to pray for the officers of the court in Lori's past trial. You've got to look at the officers of the court in Chad's upcoming trial. These people, they could do exactly what Becky Hill does, except in Idaho, they might come up with something different. And by the way, again, Alex Murdaugh didn't get his new trial today, and that door is shut on Becky Hill. But the bottom line is he'll find something to appeal, because the people that are surrounding these high-profile cases, they can't help but see dollar signs. They can't help but feel like they're going to end up being a superstar or whatever. And by the way, for those that are on here that didn't understand why I always take all my videos off at some point or another, this channel does not monetize, and after a while, I've got to remove them. It's just the way it's always been, and the Rays know this. The judge said it's best when she said she got caught up in the lights and glitz of a minute of fame at the expense of everything. Perfect point, Nicole. That's what the judge said. Co-author is a Sunday school teacher, says Deja Vu. Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised. And you know what's pathetic about it? Even that judge today said that this Becky Hill lied on the stand, basically. I mean, that just shows you the degradation of these people. She went and spent 2 hours with SLED, the South Carolina law enforcement agency there, 2 hours with them to go over her testimony. It's scary. It's scary. And some people would say, well, KJ, they went over that with her because they knew, and we all know, that Alex is guilty and should spend life in prison. And this was just something that they could. It's always better to just be truthful. It's always better. Even if it's a gut punch. Because humanity is always going to be, imperfect. Things are going to happen. But not to lie on the stand. And she knows good and damn well she lied on the stand. And yet she is a county clerk who's had all those years in the court system doing a, I'm sure, wonderful job with an excellent reputation. And yet this dollar sign just floated by her head and she just had to go. And now she's gone down a row of everyone knowing, at least I do, that she's a liar on the stand, that she cost a lot of people a lot of concern about Alex Murdaugh getting a new trial. Oh, that's all right, JoJo. I'm sorry. And again, I apologize to people when I take those vids down. And I really do. I understand some of y'all can't keep up to current and that you got to come back and listen to it. And I apologize for that. But that's just something that I made a decision when I first started out. It's something I've tried to let everybody get catched up, but it's just constant ads. And I just don't go for that. So anyway, y'all, I just wanted to get with y'all on Ethics 101. I wanted y'all to know I missed you. I am getting back together again a little bit. Y'all know how crazy I am anyway. We're going to try to get back on track with Coffee with KJ, and I do remember where we left off. We left off with going through the timeline in Chad's alibi to try to see what we can see before the trial gets here. I love you all. I'm going to get off here. I want you to think about this. I want you to think about the ethics of what needs to happen in order for a true and good adjudication of a case, a criminal case, where people need to, Chad Daybell needs someone to grab his nasty ass gherkin and rip it off and say, you know what, buddy, you wanted your fair trial, you get your fair trial, get ready for Bubba in prison. We will get back together. I'm going to try to get back on track. I thank you all for inquiring and asking how KJ was doing. Y'all was so sick. I could not even hardly talk. And I appreciate all of y'all's kind and wonderful thoughts. We'll get back together real soon. I think I might pick it up starting in the morning with Coffee with KJ, but just give me a little leeway and let me get back on track. But just think about it. Ethically speaking, y'all, it's enough that there is nothing ethical about what these people do that end up getting them into trial situations. Serial killers, murderers of beautiful children and innocent people. Is that not bad enough to look at, where you have to go off here and then you've got other people, officers of the court or other people that want to insert themselves in a case so they can make some money? It's not about informing the public. It's about entertainment. Let me entertain you. Y'all, there's nothing entertaining about it. We will get justice through understanding. You better believe it. I love you all. We'll get back together soon and keep on looking.